Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. Host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, in this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the Cat. Cat, how are you doing?
I'm alive. That is my current state.
Okay, all right, okay. And Bryan, you're back from even though you were here last week.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm back again.
It's just the three of us tonight. Skyblaze is still having some health trouble, so we wish her a speedy recovery. So, but yeah, we are back after a Halloween break. I hope everybody had a nice and fun one. How was your guys' Halloween? Did you guys have a lot of fun? Get yourself lots of candy, lots of sugary treats?
I mean, well, I don't really go trick-or-treating that much anymore, and I didn't actually have that many trick-or-treaters come by because the apartment complex doesn't really get them. But the ones that did, man, they got a lot of candy because I was like, I don't want this. You have it. Like, thanks, mister.
All right, Kat, what about you? What did you do for your Halloween?
Let's see. I had a party, just with some friends, and we watched Lost Boys and ate a lot of chocolate. And that was like Saturday before Halloween, and then Sunday before Halloween, I went to this really cool thing. Our local comic book shop called the Fantasy Shop does a Galloween, a ladies' night Halloween party for just the ladies, and they would come in, and there was like contests and prizes, and then they would have some speakers come up and talk about like really awesome comic books that are good for women. So that was really cool. Even though I don't really read that many American comics, it's still really nice to know what's out there and also win prizes. Okay. And that was really cool. And then on proper Halloween, we had trick-or-treating at our office for all of the kids of the people who work in our office. And it was actually incredible this year because one of the departments built a tunnel to crawl through with like flashing red lights and like air pumping through it and like streamers and shit. It was so cool. Like way too much effort went into that.
Okay. All right. Well, for my Halloween,
too much effort or just the right kind of effort for Halloween?
It's just the right really kind of effort, but you kind of wonder like, oh, I'm busy all day at work. What have you been doing?
Okay. Well, for my Halloween, last week, me and my girlfriend were going up to Terror Behind the Walls at the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, and we had a lot of fun. But we came out of feeling a little jit for two reasons. One, we weren't really all that scared, even though because the thing is, like, it had been hyped up to us. Like, there were people in the line with us, and they were like, pointing at me and going, "Oh yeah, we've seen videos of guys as big as him, like, coming out of this thing in tears," and we're all like, "Oh yeah, cool. This is gonna be awesome. Let's go." And but it was more jump scares, and a couple of times people reached out and grabbed us, but like we weren't really all that scared. So me and my girlfriend kind of came to the conclusion that we're just too desensitized from all the horror movies and games that we play. The other reason that I felt kind of robbed over the night was the prison is set up into 6 stages, and you just move from one to the other. Well, as we were moving from the first attraction to the second, and we're going through the line, of course it's dark. It's kind of hard to see, the ground. Well, there's a divot in the pavement. It was about 3 inches deep. And I put my left foot right in that divot, and the sole of my foot went completely vertical. And I went down. Like, this wasn't a fall. I just ate it like a bitch, just right into the metal barrier that, corrals everybody in line. I just went down hard, like a sack of potatoes. And as I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened to get myself back up on my feet, I hear, and this is my girlfriend's part of the story, I hear from a few feet behind us in line, this little kid go, "Oh my God, that lady just fell." And I'm just like, oh, what is the penalty for child battery in Pennsylvania?
Oh God, that's
because I'm about to whip a bitch.
Oh, I want to shake that kid's hand.
Yeah, but but here's the thing. So, like, it's clear I've done something to my foot, but we're in the middle of this whole haunted house thing, so it's not like I can just stop. So I've got to keep moving forward throughout this whole, turned out to be like a 2-hour long thing, just walking through it. So by the time like we get out of it, like I'm practically crawling. So, fortunately, my sister who lives outside the city, she has an MD in sports medicine. So I just called her up and was like, Carrie, yeah, I did something to my foot. Can you come take a look at me? And she was like, yeah, sure. So I drove up, and yeah, it turned out I got a really nice sprain out of that whole thing. So that was fun.
I shouldn't laugh. Just that's been my life since I was like 13.
Yeah. So I was I was walking wounded for a few days. So yeah, but I mean, outside of that, I mean, it was an enjoyable trip. I'm glad we went, but like I said, we kind of felt kind of gypped because we kind of just decided we're just desensitized, because of all the horror stuff that's out there. So, but definitely, if you guys, if anyone's in Philadelphia for Halloween, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a shot. And so, with that, let's move on to the main thrust of our show. We are going to be discussing Thor Ragnarok tonight, not Thor: The Dark World, as I kept on insisting last week. Bryan, did that actually make it into the episode? Did you hear?
You edited
it. That is true.
I was asleep.
So yes, but we're looking forward to Thor Ragnarok. We just got back from seeing that. Some of us quite literally, as I shake off the rainwater from just running into the door. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. But we're gonna begin our show as always with Ask a Geek, and we've got some questions here. First one here. This one just came in the last 24 hours for you, Bryan, and it is a question from Charlie, and he asked, "What are your thoughts on the news that Brian Michael Bendis is signing an exclusivity contract with DC?"
So I learned about that literally 30 minutes ago when I walked into the door because I was at work this morning, and I went, huh? Because Brian Michael Bendis has worked at Marvel since 2000. So that's almost 20 years at one company. And if you would ask me on the street, like, who you think is like the quintessential Marvel writer, I would say Brian Michael Bendis. So this comes as a sort of a shock and a surprise that after 17 years or so, he's going to be going over and only working with DC. There's been no news what he's working on or what he has been working on or which characters he's going to be working with. And that's probably going to be slowly revealed out through until next year. So I'm surprised by the news. I don't know if I'm anxious because his most recent work has been Civil War 2, which wasn't very good. So like it's one of those things. It's like getting a injured running back from another team. It's like, yeah, he was good, but then he broke his leg.
Wasn't he also writing what's her name, Ironheart, the Riri Williams Iron Man?
He's like he's prolific over at Marvel. He was writing Iron Man. He introduced Riri Williams with Ironheart, Spider-Man 2, and he also wrote Spider-Man, which was one of the first crossover between Peter Parker and Miles Morales. He's the creator of Miles Morales, by the way. So he has a lot of good creative things underneath him. So and like this is like going to end all of his runs at Marvel right now. So expect a lot of new writers coming in for those books as well. So he's written pretty much almost every character, I think, except Fantastic Four. And unfortunately, Marvel's not going to print a Fantastic Four books. Maybe that's why I was like, I'm done here.
Okay. Now, because I'm ignorant of how things work on the creator side of comics, was Bendis also working with DC like on and off at the time? Was he working exclusively with Marvel, or is he just trading one for the other?
Exclusively for Marvel since 2000.
So he's trading one for the other then.
Okay. He is trading one for the other, yeah.
So now the next question I have is why? Why the jump?
I don't know. Like I said, I just learned about this 30 minutes ago, my friend. So I'm sure you'll get a lot of talk of, I need a fresh start, or they offered me a ton of money and I couldn't say no, or anything along those lines. And it could just be that he just felt fatigued at Marvel. And like I said, he's written so many of the books, so many of the characters that he's like, well, maybe I could try for a change. They're offering a good sum. I'll see what they want and then see what I can do with. I mean, it could be any number of reasons. I know a lot of people might point out like, well, Marvel sales are going down and maybe you want to jump ship. And I don't really believe that just because Marvel sales, they stagger, but I don't think they're going down. That's a math thing I'll go into a little bit later. So in the future, I would like to see kind of figure out why he made the move or why he made the jump, or just see the sales, the check that they wrote for him.
Okay. All right. Okay. And let's see. Other questions here. Here's a question here for all of us, and this one's actually a little bit dated because it's actually about the news that Disney was talking about buying a large portion of 20th Century Fox, which has since fallen through. So I'll just, well, I guess it's a preemptive because it's a two-part question. I'm going to disregard the first part because it's about the news of Disney talking about buying Fox. But the second part of the question is what do we feel about that? And I guess Bryan has given his preemptive answer to that question.
Look, Disney, I understand. I'm not in the best feeling with Disney right now after the release of the information they're doing to the movie theaters about the Last Jedi movie and how they're sort of like holding it hostage for people. There's a number of different reasons. So like when I hear them trying to buy 20th Century Fox, a lot of it was why you don't need it. You already have so many hands and so many other pots. This is not really going to add anything. There must be more to it than that. And then when it didn't go through, I was kind of relieved because we didn't need to deal with, Disney growing too, even bigger. I mean, I love Disney, but they're growing supremely huge.
Monopoly is the word you're thinking of.
Yes. Not some people think that's a board game, which is also true, but it also exists in the real world.
And it's not really a good thing to have a monopoly. And like we were all like really scared, not just nervous, but scared when Disney bought Marvel, and then like the Marvel movies turned out to be and we're like, okay, this isn't the worst thing ever. But I really get the heebie-jeebies about them buying Fox.
Oh, and then we also did a whole episode on when they bought Lucasfilm. We're like, oh God, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, right. like it's turned out mostly okay, but there is this. Disney is a monster. It is a giant company, and sometimes it acquires things and it turns out all right, but it's gonna backfire eventually. It's just we're like, okay, this is the one they're gonna completely fuck up. And it probably would have been Fox, and that's my hesitation with it, because otherwise I just don't care that much, because I don't think I actively notice a huge difference. Like, I don't associate what I see with, oh, well, this is because Disney bought them. I don't really notice those things. But I get the sense that, okay, it would have been kind of nice to get Fox's like Marvel franchises back under the same umbrella, but that wasn't even close to the main motivation. So, like, no, let's not do that.
True, and I think that might have been like a small part of it. They might have been like, this is a good plus for us because we've been fighting to get them back anyway. As also another thing about Star Wars, because currently 20th Century Fox, they don't own the rights to Star Wars, but they're the ones that distribute the first 6 films. So whenever those 6 films get re-released, they get money. So Disney could just be wanting, well, I want that now, so we get that money too.
Yeah, money is what it is. Money.
Yeah.
Money.
So there's there could be a whole, different reasons, but the fact that it's not going to go through is like, okay, good. Maybe they'll take a break for a year.
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is there one for me in here? I'm starting to feel left out. Okay, well, all right, here's one from Leslie, and she asks, have I ever had buyer's remorse over a game or piece of gaming hardware? And I gotta be honest, I'm having a bit of buyer's remorse with my PlayStation 4, because I've got all of 3 games for it, and I'm not really seeing anything else out there that I absolutely want to play on it. And hell, even one of the games I have, like I've got Horizon Zero Dawn and I've got the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. Those are both PS4 exclusives. And then I've got Resident Evil Revelations, which I could have gotten for the same price on the PC. So I'm trying to find some good PS4 exclusive games. So hell, sound out in the comments or send me an email. Send me a list of some games that I should check out, because right now I'm having a hard time justifying not taking this thing in and trading it in.
I'm shocked you haven't tried for Uncharted yet. I guarantee you that's going to pop up in the comments.
See, I was never a huge fan of the Uncharted games. Like, I played the first 3 on the PlayStation 3, and they were enjoyable, certainly, but they were, they were popcorn games, I call them. They weren't exactly, life-changing experiences that I would, pick up and play through again and again and again.
I mean, I'm just going to like preemptively know that's going to be one of the first titles that pops up.
So right now, literally the only two games that I'm keeping hold of this PlayStation 4 right now are games that aren't even out yet. One of them is Red Dead Redemption 2, and the other is Kingdom Hearts 3. Which, if that gets pushed back another year, then that's it. I'm just trading the system in.
You better just trade it in now.
Why? Do you know something I don't?
No, I don't play the games, but I can read a pattern.
She's just giving you like overall percentage. Yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Okay, all right, and let's see. Here's a fun question from Chrissy, and she asks all of us: do we plan on going to the Last Jedi premiere in costume?
I haven't done it before, so I don't think I'm going to do it now.
And if we were, who would we dress as?
If I could, if I had the skills, which I do not have, I would definitely want to go as Captain Phasma, because she is like my Star Wars waifu. And it's just because I love her actress in Game of Thrones. It's not like they've done her character any justice at all.
I don't think I never thought I would live to see the day where you would say the word waifu. That's
I have weebs in my IT department at work. But yeah, I love her. I love Phasma. I want to pick up her comics and everything.
I think she has a new book out, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. She's got a book, not a comic.
She's a comic too, because I read it. It's only 4 issues.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking about both. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, Phasma, for lack of too much female representation.
Well, I mean, if we're pulling from the new canon, if you're pulling from the old canon, you got Scads. But
I'm pulling from the movie canon, and there isn't much.
Well, I mean, it's a young canon, so we'll see where it goes. Bryan, what about you? Who would you dress as?
I mean, I have no clue whatsoever who I could dress as, to be honest with you. I can't. I mean, I would be a giant astromech droid because they're the best characters ever. I'm sorry, BB-8, you're never going to live up to R2-D2, no matter how much you try, and no matter how much the marketing's behind you.
I think if I dress up as anybody, it would be either Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi, because that's a dead simple costume to pull off, and I have the lightsaber for it now, so I could make it really convincing. Or if I wanted to paint myself blue and either get a wig or grow my hair back out again, I could go as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Which that would that'd be again a pretty simple costume, and I'd be able to wear it without having to worry about the policy of weapons at movie theaters. So, although when I went to both the Rogue One premiere and the Force Awakens premiere, I did see a few people walking around with lightsabers. So I don't know if maybe those just slip under aren't excluded, or those are just excluded from the policy by local theater.
It's probably gonna be a place by place basis, and depends on how big the theater is.
Yes. So that's a tip, kids. Before cosplaying to a film premiere, find out what the weapons policy is at your theater.
This message brought to you by Star Wars.
All right, and that's all the Ask a Geek questions that we have for this week. Thank you so much for sending them in. You can send them to us through the email at drgonzo@nerdofthethirdpower.com, or you can leave them in the comments below the Facebook feed. Yeah, let's try that again. Or you can leave them in the comments below the YouTube feed. We do occasionally trawl through our YouTube comments looking for good questions. So yeah, get your questions in one way or the other, and it might get read on the air. And so with that, let's dive into the meat of this episode, and that is Thor Ragnarok, which is the long-awaited return of the God of Thunder after Age of Ultron. So we just got back from seeing that, and I gotta say I had a lot of fun with it. Although I had some.
Well, you got back from seeing it. I saw it last weekend at a normal time. I didn't have to rush anywhere.
Well, I worked during the weekend, so.
So did I. I made time.
So anyway,
I don't know why I'm being such a bitch today.
I know, you're just so catty. Like, is that, like, girl, you and I are just going to have to talk after this show.
Are you doing that girl voice? You better stop.
Not anymore after you said something.
Just quit now while you're ahead.
But anyway, we had a lot of fun with it, although I do have some gripes about it, which we will get to in a moment. But yeah, what did you guys think of Thor Ragnarok overall?
I enjoyed it immensely. From the first bits of marketing for it up until the ending credits, I was quite excited to see it, and it did not let me down for once.
When you mentioned for once, it's because I was kind of going to bring something up because for this film it was very interesting because when I saw it and in my theater they showed like previously from Thor and previously from Thor 2, so they can kind of get everyone back up to the story. And I just kind of remember watching the first clips of it and going like, man, both of those films did not really age well. They were very forgettable, unfortunately. And for me going in, I was like, maybe this is going to be different because obviously the marketing behind it was a little bit different. And I think for Marvel Studios kind of knew what they wanted to do here is that even though they're building up to the whole Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet and things like that, and that's been sort of a big overhead in a lot of these films, for the most part, a lot of the characters are in the correct spot they needed to be in for said film, except for Thor. But at the same time, they felt like, okay, only really thing we need Thor to be at the end of this, we have a couple things we need to do. He needs to be in space with the Tesseract, and then we need to sort of figure out what we want to talk about in the Infinity Gauntlet Easter egg from the first film. And they did those both, and basically everything else was like, all right, go nuts, have fun. The only thing we need to do is worry about this, and that's going to happen at the end of the film. Everything else, have fun with it. Do what you want. So that's where you sort of got this weird mesh of two sort of adaptations of Ragnarok. We'll sprinkle in a Planet Hulk in there as well. It was very bright, very colorful. It was funny. It was a good chuckle. And so this felt like this should have been the first Thor movie because I cared a lot more about the character at the end of this one than I did at the end of the other films.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and but I said there are some gripes that I have with it, which we'll discuss as we get along. So, Bryan, why don't you give us a brief rundown of the plot of Thor Ragnarok?
So Thor Ragnarok picks up with Thor, who has been traveling around, I'm assuming the 9 realms the last 2 years, because he had the weird hot tub daydream in Age of Ultron, where things were bad. So he was trying to figure out what was going to happen to Asgard. And in his mind, Asgard was being taken care of by his father. He comes back to it after fighting off, I forget his name already. Someone who I forgot was supposed to be. Yeah, Surtur, which I was a surprise. I didn't realize Surtur was going to be in the film. And he fights him off thinking, okay, I've stopped Ragnarok. And then he finds out Odin is actually Loki. That was a very quick reveal, by the way.
It needed to be. It didn't really have a choice there.
True. After finding this, I was like, all right, where's real Odin? Well, he's on Earth. Oh no, the place I left has been destroyed. That's bad. Oh, hi, Doctor Strange. So, by the way, this is spoiler ridden. So if you have not seen the film, I've already ruined it. A good surprise for you. So we meet with Doctor Strange. We find out where Odin is, and unfortunately, Odin passes on. But when he dies, that's when basically shit happens because Hela, his older sister, the goddess of death, who was being held basically prisoner by Odin, was free. When she was free, she basically destroyed Mjolnir. She chased both Loki and Thor back to Asgard, but on their way, both Loki and Thor were thrown from into space, basically. So she goes and basically she doesn't destroy Asgard, but she goes and takes it over very single-handedly. While she is doing that, Thor and Loki end up on a different planet trying to fight with the Grand Master, one of the more eccentric characters of the Marvel Universe, at least in this film.
I don't think we've seen a character this eccentric since the Collector in Guardians of the Galaxy. I seriously, the Grandmaster felt like he got lost on the way to a Guardians of the Galaxy audition. He really did.
I think
he's I'm here to audition for the Collector. Oh, am I in the wrong place? Well, I'll just read this anyway, and then you can decide what to do with me later. Because I'm Jeff Goldblum, and that's how I roll.
I was going to say that, like, we're not going to not cast him, right? No, we'll find a spot for him. Trust me.
If you think about it, it fits thematically that the Marvel movies in space should kind of mesh together a little bit in that way. Like, it should feel like they're set in the same universe that is the universe. Like, so maybe Asgard feels different than what was the planet, Sakaar?
Sakaar.
But it makes sense that, oh, hey, maybe, Sakaar feels a little bit more like the Collector because it's sort of what the rest of the universe is like. So I thought that actually fit quite well, even though he is really weird for a Thor movie.
But anyway, we're getting off track, so continue, Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, it fits because we're talking about the Grandmaster. But Thor gets taken in. He's brought in by Valkyrie, who we don't know is Valkyrie till a little bit later. He becomes a part of the Contest of Champions, and he has to fight the champion of the Grandmaster, which turns out to be the Hulk. They fight, as they are wont to do. There's not much I can explain about that.
Well, I mean, it's not like, it's the Hulk. It's Thor and the Hulk. It's not like you can have them discuss the merits of Sartre.
They almost did at one point, because afterwards, after the fight, which I think Hulk won by default. I'm going to give that to Thor. Hulk won by default. Because Thor was getting his superpowers all together, and they get together as a group to go back to Asgard. They escape the planet. I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here, but this is just the synopsis. So they get back together. They form the Revengers. Terrible name. They get back to Asgard. They figure out how to defeat Hela, and unfortunately, to defeat her, Asgard had to be destroyed. So we're left with Asgardians traveling the cosmos now on a ship going back to Earth to find a new home. Loki comes back. He's a bad guy, and he's a good guy, and he's a bad guy, and he's a good guy. He might still be a good guy. I don't really know anymore. I'm not sure I care anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, I like Loki, but at the same time, I was like, just pick a side.
It varies from moment to moment.
Yeah, varies from moment to moment in one film. I think he betrayed Thor at least 3 times. 3? Maybe twice.
Okay, so let's start breaking the film down to components parts. And the first thing I want to talk about is the script and the plotting. And one of the big gripes that I had with the film actually deals with the first 30 minutes or so, because I felt like paradoxically too much was happening in that first 30 minutes, while at the same time nothing was happening at all. So like, I get that they had to tie the loose end of Loki impersonating Odin. But then they went from that to going to Earth and meeting Doctor Strange, who added pretty much nothing to the film. And it just
a cameo.
Well, yeah, but it was a cameo that wasn't necessary for the plot, and it
that's every single Stan Lee cameo. We never complain about him.
Well, because he's there for all like 30 seconds, and it's Stan Lee. You're not going to complain about Stan Lee. He's Stan the man. So, but like, the first 30 minutes, it feels like I felt like I was kind of being dragged by the neck through basically a bunch of different mini set pieces that didn't really add anything until the movie kicked up into high gear when Hela showed up. So I don't know. The first 30 minutes felt very, very mishmash to me. If that makes any sense.
So are you saying it's just a pacing issue you had it with? Because like they had to get to a certain point before you felt like the story actually started.
Yeah, it felt like they were just gonna like, okay, all right, we gotta throw this out. Okay, now we've got all that taken care of. Here's the story we really want to tell. If that makes sense.
I could see it a little bit, but I think the thing with this film, at least in that sense, is that it's one of those things you kind of brush aside because you don't really necessarily mind it. I was more concerned about the humor in the story, because for me, like, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but at the same time, Guardians had a very bad habit of, here is a big dramatic moment, here's a joke to ruin it. And I didn't want that to happen to Thor. That's why I'm glad there was not a lot of those. The humor for me in Thor, I think, came naturally until the very end with Bruce Banner and the Hulk, where he falls onto the bridge. I felt because that one was like everything was really building up, and that just put a brick wall in front of it, and you had to like reset yourself. So that was the only time I really would complain about that.
So you had no problem with the bouncy ball scene?
The bouncy ball scene I think was fun because, one, all it was doing was just character dialogue, and two, it was just kind of fun to see Thor get punched in the face in the middle of a dramatic speech.
It's actually like repetitive, like it's a classic Hulk move now to like punch Thor off the screen.
Yeah.
So it's got to happen. Like he's got to hit him
No, I'm talking about the scene where
in a
he's talking.
comical way.
I'm talking about the scene where he's talking to Valkyrie, and he goes to
Yeah,
throw the
I
ball
know
out the
exactly
window.
what scene you're talking about. I'm saying that fits thematically with their interactions, say the Avengers.
Okay, we were talking about Hulk punching him, so I thought maybe you might be talking about a different scene that I
No,
didn't see.
never
So-
forget it. You're not listening to what I'm saying, so
Yeah, well, it's just it's just funny to see Thor get punched. Like, like that's the underline. Like, because the thing with this Thor that I thought was a bit more relatable than some of the other ones is that here he's kind of a little more of a, I wouldn't say goof, but lighthearted. Like he knows he I know I want to do this. I want to have this big thing. World kind of works against me. Like I'm still playing up. There's still a little bit of karma I have to pay for being kind of a dick in the last two films.
What I heard that I really could relate to was that the first two movies were very Shakespearean, and them not just in terms of like old English language, which isn't really there, but very much like the level of drama from those films is Shakespearean. Whereas I think from a cartoon and comic version of Thor, we want a little more humor because he's kind of the fish out of water, like in the Avengers and stuff. You want a little more fish out of water. You want a little more camp and humor, whereas Thor is just dead serious all the time, except in the Avengers, where he actually has like a funny line or two. In his own movies, he's just dead serious all the time, or smug and smarmy and kind of soul. And here he was actually like enjoying himself, having fun, God forbid, kind of just like acting like a person, you know. And for that was like a really nice change.
Okay. Now, obviously, elephant in the room.
Where?
Asgard's not there anymore. It's right over there.
Oh.
You don't see him? His name's Stampy. But anyway, so now that we've addressed the elephant in the room, let's talk about the big twist ending to this film, which is Asgard's not there anymore.
Well, it's not a twist ending it's in the title, Ragnarok.
Well, yeah, but you know
if you know what Ragnarok means, you shouldn't be surprised that happened.
I'm versed in my Norse mythology, Brian. What I'm saying is in a Marvel movie, we expect the hero to save everybody and have everything be all flowers and roses afterwards. So this is the first time I think that we've actually seen a case where, in a very real sense, the hero, even though hell is defeated, Thor still kind of lost in this movie because his whole home is gone.
I mean, yes, but I wouldn't say every movie's like that. I mean, at the end of Civil War, the Avengers are basically split up across the planet. Guys are fugitives and things like that. So I wouldn't say they would come out sunshine and roses there either. But this one was, for whatever it is, it's good to, look, I love Asgard too, but I think it's time to maybe start moving away from it, because really the best Thor has been is when Asgard's not there. Like in this film, you know, when he's on Sakaara and he's having to deal with the Hulk and his new things, and he's having to build himself up again because he's lost his hammer. That was sort of compelling and interesting. Yes, coming back to Asgard is all well and good, but like I said, it was Ragnarok. I expected Asgard to go away by the end of this film. Heck, I was actually surprised they didn't do it at the beginning with Helena, but no, they waited until the very end.
Well, my question is like, what do you think is going to happen? Because we know from the last line in the film that they're going to Earth, and I don't think that that the various Earth powers are going to take very kindly to a bunch of demigods showing up randomly out of the blue, saying like, "Hey, can we come live here now?"
We'll have to see if the rest of the Asgardians survive Infinity War, because that's really the next step of where this is going. And with the middle credit scene where Sanctuary 2, which is a Thanos ship, shows up.
That was.
Yes, everyone. I'm a nerd. Hello. We have to wait to see, because the preview of that one is that he apparently gets separated from that ship. So you never know. The next film could be him trying to find where, like, maybe him and Loki like sacrificed themselves or whatever, or gave themselves up to Thanos so these Asgardians can leave. So maybe he's just trying to find where they ended up. Maybe they didn't end up on Earth. We don't really know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but the next step in this phase is obviously them going to face up with Thanos. And I do believe Loki does have the Tesseract. Why else would the Sanctuary 2 even look at that ship twice?
Okay, that makes sense. And we did see Loki eyeing the Tesseract rather meaningfully as he was getting ready to throw the hat in the fire.
I mean, it's the Chekhov's gun. There's no way he didn't take it. If he wasn't going to take it, it wouldn't have been in the shot.
Oh.
That's a Chekhov's gun. I haven't heard that in a long time. Good reference.
Now, I'll tell you something that I did like in this film, and this kind of segues from plot to the cast, but I liked how everybody in the cast got to interact with each other at least once throughout the movie, because so many times you see in these movies where it focuses so much on just the lead and maybe the couple of people around him that we don't really get a lot of face time with the rest of the cast. But I felt like that Thor Ragnarok was very much an ensemble movie, if that makes any real sense. It was great. It was great to see these the Avengers may be a team, but I feel like we actually got to see the cast of this film actually act like a team, if that makes any real sense.
It's because Tony wasn't in it.
Although even when Tony Stark isn't around, he has to touch the film in some way, and Mark Ruffalo poor Bruce Banner spends half the movie in Tony Stark's stolen clothes.
I just want to say I'm sad that Cate Blanchett is dead. Can she be casted as something else? Like, can she just be casted in every Marvel movie now?
She could come in as any character, and with the right amount of makeup, you would not be able to tell the difference.
Seriously, like because what has been my biggest complaint about the Marvel films is just very bland villains. And then here we have Helen. I was like, this villain's great. I want her to be, and she's gone. Fuck.
That is the problem with the standalone films, is that like Loki is one of the better villains, and just coming out of Thor, but then he showed up in the Avengers, and I think that's part of what made him such a great villain, was that he got more than one shot at it.
Right.
And the standalone films is mostly just one and done. That villain's dead. They're not coming back. We're never going to revisit their story or their arc or whatever. And Loki's gotten to have an arc or two or three.
Yeah, and my fear is that people are going to be low-keyed out.
Yeah. This one felt like the right amount of Loki. Because the Thor the Dark World was too much Loki. It was obviously, there was reshoots because Tom Hiddleston is very popular, and it was reshoots to pander to Loki fans, and it was too much Loki. And I think they realized that, and it was going beyond, like they're trying to create too much of writing that sympathetic character, and it's not enough Loki. And this film was a little more what I would expect, just from what I know about Loki from the comics and the cartoons and stuff, is that he gets foiled like all the time. Like Thor just foils him just constantly. Oh, you wanted to do that? Sorry, I've thwarted your plan, brother. See ya next time. We're going to do this all over again. And it was more to a comedic effect, and it had a heart and everything where it was needed, but it wasn't so much sympathy for him.
Well, I guess that brings us to the cast, and leaping off what Kat was saying about Loki, I really felt like that this whole movie was aside from the story of Thor and Hulk trying to stop Hela from destroying Ragnarok, it was, okay, we're going to punish Loki for every shitty thing he's done over the last 4 films he's been in, because literally every single scene he was in, he was getting comeuppance for something he was done, or he was being reminded of some way that he was humiliated. Like when the Hulk first appears, you immediately start seeing Loki squirming. He's like, I've got to get the hell out of here now.
It's not just I need to leave, it's I need to get off this planet.
I will give it, though, I did really enjoy when Hulk grabbed Thor the same way he grabbed Loki, and Loki just losing his mind. He's like, that's how it feels! Sorry, I just really like this guy.
So good.
Yeah, so but like that's the sort of like the returning, and like I said, Kate Blanchett was a fantastic villain, fantastic Helena, because she also like was yes, I'm super serious and everything, but she also kind of like got to play a little bit as well. Like looks like she was having a blast too. Like she did the big villain monologue, and then poor Hogan was like, "Who are you?" She's like, "Did you just not hear what I just said?
And
You're gonna die now."
And can we talk a moment about her costume? Because she was rocking that ensemble, and it made her look very big and imposing, which is not very easy to do with Kate Blanchett because she's a very tiny and petite woman. So I love that they managed to make her look actually imposing and threatening without having to completely obscure her, basically. That
It's
makes
the
any real
horns.
sense. Yeah.
It's the horns.
Which
her headpiece thing was incredible.
And the fact that it's kind of hinted that that's actually her hair that she like works some magic on. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Well, that was I think that was more done because they didn't want to have her wearing that headpiece for like long periods of time because that looked kind of uncomfortable. So it's like, all right, your hair's down now. She's like, oh, thank you, God.
It's the idea of a girl's going into a fight and she's tying her hair back. Be like, okay, shit's going down. Let me tie my hair back. It's like that.
Except instead of tying it back, it becomes a giant fucking horned helmet.
Yes,
Right.
It's the intimidation factor. It's the hell goddess equivalent of tying your hair back.
Okay, and then there was the other surprise casting, which was Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master, who...
This is the most Jeff Goldblum I've seen Jeff Goldblum.
I think he was just playing himself.
They're like, read these lines. How? However you feel like. We don't care. Okay.
Thank you for being here today, for gracing us with your presence, Lord and Master.
I'll tell you what. They're like I get that there are that being in a Marvel movie now is like a big status symbol among actors, and it's pretty much consistent that anyone who's in these movies has a lot of fun with them. But the only time I've ever seen it come through in the performance that they're having a blast doing this movie. The only other time I've seen it to this extent was with Drax. Was with God, what's his name? Dave Bautista as Drax the Annihilator. Not since that have I seen an actor just completely have just a total as much fun playing a role as Jeff Goldblum did in this movie. Like you could tell he was just having a lark. This was vacation for him.
I can't. Do you think he even had to audition, or did he just say, write a letter, please put me in a film? And they were like, yes, we will write a role just for you. We'll make sure to include a character for you, my lord.
Well, because they learned from Dave Bautista that if they didn't put him in a role, he wouldn't leave them alone until they did.
I think just maybe they're just like they probably just he's like, I would like to be in film. They're like, oh my god. He's all calm and cool about it, and everyone like the producers like, oh, we gotta get him in now.
Now I'll tell you another great standout for this film that I really enjoyed was Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. Holy shit, she was awesome in this movie.
She's a fantastic drinker.
I really liked her because she wasn't the tough chick stereotype. The Black Widow, if you will, where she has to, for the first few iterations of Black Widow, where she has to be completely badass, non-emotive, kind of not that interesting, not much of a story there, but as long as she wears something really tight and goes and kicks someone ass, then she's a tough woman character. And she really wasn't that. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie was just fun and interesting. You enjoyed kind of every scene that she was in. You never really looked at her and went, nah, I could do this without you or whatever. It just felt so good in the role. Like you got just enough of her backstory without, drowning in it. You got it at the right point where you could kind of make some assumptions just from her, everybody going, oh, you're a Valkyrie. Oh my God, that's amazing. But you could kind of get that she had definitely been scorned and burned in battle and that sort of thing. And then she's flawed. She's delightfully flawed. She's a drinker. She's running away from her problems, but she's also really cool and hanging out with the Hulk in her free time because, why not?
All right. Which I guess brings us to Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / the Hulk.
Well, I mean, so a lot of Bruce, we got more Hulk than you got Bruce Banner in this film, and I don't know, they didn't explore a lot with that. I do remember where you starting to get a lot of maybe something else is going wrong with him, because he said he was Hulk for 2 years, and he only turned to Bruce Banner because he saw a recording on the Quinjet. So it's interesting to see this version of, because we've seen tastes of the Hulk, and for this Hulk being viewed as a champion, you got to see this idea that of him, I want to stay here because they love me here. They love because when I do things here. When in Earth, I was always scorned and hunted for
I get to smash and get paid for it.
He had a huge bed made of bones, a hot tub in his room.
Now, I got the impression of this whole film that the sort of the same vibe you did, Bryan, that there's something deeper going on, some deeper problem between Banner and the Hulk. And I want to ask, if anyone else noticed this? But I noticed that if when Mark Ruffalo was running around, if you noticed there was kind of a tinge of green, just under his right ear.
Yes.
That seemed to kind of pulse. And did anyone else notice that?
I only noticed it after he was getting frustrated with Thor and he saw the green veins. That's when I finally sort of saw it, that the Hulk maybe has more control now. And even Bruce said he was in the driver's seat for so long that I don't even know if I could let him out again.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't
the Hulk is winning the internal battle.
Yeah. Okay. And that paint there was definitely deliberate, because I don't think they were they didn't want him to go Hulk again right away, but they wanted to show him angry.
Yeah.
So, but I think that Mark Ruffalo was also having a bit of fun with this role, because we've always seen him kind of being the quiet milquetoast scientist who's also trying to restrain a murderous hellbeast. But here we actually got to see him kind of flip out a little bit. So I bet you Ruffalo had a bit of fun getting to actually do something different for once, because it was really weird to see him get all emotions hey, I've been the Hulk for 2 years, now I wake up on an alien world. It is kind of making me a little weird.
Well, and also you get
going kind of crazy to watch.
And him getting in certain situations he didn't know, he couldn't, because everything got moved super fast. Here, fly the ship. He's like, I don't fly ships. PhD, not in flying ships. So it's the cool, calm, collected character is finally sort of freaking out because he's now out of his element. He's never left Earth before.
Yeah, exactly.
And the ship had a disco ball.
All right. Were there any other standouts from the cast that need to be discussed?
I can't pass this up, but he's in every. I love him. Carl Urban shows back up as Scourge. Ooh. This is a very weird. I liked what they did with him, but I do feel it was also one of those sort of cliched moments of, listen, I'm not really that bad of a guy, or he's not the Asgardian everyone thinks an Asgardian should be. He's kind of cowardly and both Asgardians are boastful, but a bit more cowardly and stuff like that. Not the true warrior. He makes sort of a deal with Helena so he can survive, but you can see throughout the whole movie, he's really regretting what's going on because he's still an Asgardian. And then for him to have sort of his final moment of going out with and Stroy. Also, he mentioned he got it from the wheeled world of Texas, and because I live in Texas, people cheered for that line. I was like, okay, guys, I get it. We live here. So I just like Carl Urban, so I just want to talk about him.
He's cool. The character that really stood out for me was Korg. He kind of stole a lot of scenes just by being adorable and kind of the rock guy who was
with the British accent.
And that's actually the director.
Really?
No, yeah. It's him.
That's how do you say his name? Taika Waititi.
Yes.
Who is one of the guys from Flight of the Condors. And well, I know him through the movie What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, everyone knows him from that film.
Yes, which is like one of my favorite films ever. It's just so brilliant, and and he's just so great. And him just, you know, kind of coming in and being this like side character who just is sort of like, hi everybody, I'm very polite, and we're gonna have a good time now. And new Doug, what's going on? And it's like so adorable.
Goodbye, new Doug.
Starting a revolution. Didn't print out too many tickets, but you know we're gonna have another one. So would you like to be a part of that?
Just, hey, we're gonna escape on the ship. Want to come?
Oh, look, guys, Meek's alive.
Yeah, you're in great need of have leadership. Oh, thank you.
What I had forgotten about this until the movie started, but I had actually read an interview from James Gunn saying that this was one of his favorite Marvel movies now, specifically because that character had been brought in. And I kind of forgot about it. And then I sat down in the theater and started watching it. And I'm like, oh, this is what he was talking about. Now I get it.
All right. So let's talk a bit about the presentation of this film. As I mentioned, this movie kind of, as I mentioned, you know, I feel like Jeff Goldblum kind of got lost on the way to a Guardians of the Galaxy audition, and now as I reflect on the film's sets and the presentation, yeah, it really does feel like this was Thor in the Guardians of the Galaxy sort of universe, and I felt like that really kind of enhanced the fish out of water feeling that Kat was discussing earlier.
This film, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to get it out there, is that this to me was the most Jack Kirby looking film I have ever seen.
Yeah, and that was something that I want to ask you about, because I remember reading an article last week that I wanted to send you, and it just completely slipped my mind. But it was about all about the influences of Jack Kirby on the design of this film, and so I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on that.
It is Jack. I mean, Jack's Kirby's like, especially when you look at some of it just like design wise, not necessarily character designs, but design outwards. Like the guards, Jack Kirby all the way, the angular stuff like that. The ships, Jack Kirby all the way. Like I would even go as far as a lot like the way the Grand Master looks is sort of Jack Kirby all the way. It is. It's space. Who cares about what it looks like? It's going to look like this. You know, it's very cosmic. It's very otherworldly. You look at it going, that's not from Earth, but it looks kind of cool. Like, so that's where I got a lot of that from. Even so much so, and I'll get into it a little bit later when we talk more about music wise. Even like I think the music was Jack Kirby-esque, but the design of this film, mostly on the junk planet, was Jack Kirby. Also, yes, before anyone talks about in the comment, yes, I saw the statue of Beta Ray Bill. Yes, I'm still pissed he's not in the film, but hey, we're getting there, baby steps.
I'm sorry, once more in my good ear?
Yeah, so you know the tower that has all the faces on it?
Yeah.
One of them is Beta Ray Bill.
I did not notice
that.
Oh my God,
really?
Yes. The other one was Ares, the god of war. Very hard to see, but Man-Thing was also there. So those were supposed to be former champions, I guess, that won their freedom. So he's coming. I mean, I wish he was in this film because it would have been the perfect film for him to be in, but you know, I'll hold. Eventually we'll make a Funko Pop of him. I'm praying. Anyway, yes, so that explains sort of the Jack Kirby feel of the film.
Okay. Kat, what about you? What did you think of the presentation of the movie?
I agree that it felt like, yeah, we're drawing a lot from the popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy when they made Thor, and I don't think that's a bad thing in any way. I really feel like, again, for me, it fits in the text of the greater universe, that parts of the universe kind of seem like one another. So it feels more consistent that outside of Earth and Asgard and Jotunheim, that parts of the universe kind of seem the same as other parts of the universe. So to me, that the whole vibe of it fits. And it was nice to see Thor and Loki, characters who are well established in that universe, on that greater, wider universe. And of course, seeing Hulk in that greater, wider universe is really interesting too, visually speaking, because he's got this cool gladiator outfit on that we've just obviously never seen him in before. And there's this cool new set piece that is the Hulk's room. And I wish there had been like a couple more still shots of it, where the camera's not moving around. And maybe when it comes out on Blu-ray, we can like watch it and pause and see all of the stuff that's in this room, because I would be curious what Hulk would keep in a room. To me, that is a fascinating discussion in and of itself.
Yeah, the wine cabinet was a bit of a surprise. Like I don't, the Hulk doesn't strike me as a character who'd enjoy a 62 Merlot.
Right, and I wonder if that's just because Valkyrie hangs out enough, she just brings stuff over for herself.
Oh, I think it's delivered, and she's like, well, he's not going to drink it.
Yeah, that also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I touched on a bit on this when we were talking about Cate Blanchett's casting as Hela, but I want to go back a bit to the costumes of this movie. I was really impressed by the costume work in this film. Of course, Cate Blanchett's is the standout, but then also Jeff Goldblum had a neat costume going on, very much the sort of the rich idiot with no day job look. I loved the design of the
with no day job.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he was. I loved the design of like the city guards, which, like I said, Bryan mentions is I didn't catch the Jack Kirby influence, but that's the pleb in me. But just the costuming in this film in general, I thought was really cool, and I would love to see some more of the designs up close. So hopefully when the Blu-ray comes out, there'll be some behind the scenes feature about the costuming in this film, because I was really very much impressed by it.
I'm very curious on where the tradition of like alien, not want to say alien overlord, but like alien humanoid out in space has a little bit of makeup on their bottom lip. Like, where did that come from? Because it's not a Marvel thing. I've seen it in other films too. I was like, whose idea was this?
I believe we
can let Star Trek.
Oh,
I guess.
Okay. Why are we whispering?
I don't know. But now, Bryan, you are you apparently are putting the lie to Kat's belief that I'm the only one who notices the music in film. So I now yield the floor to you.
It's not a lie, especially with some of the Marvel films. Unfortunately, my biggest critique is that their scores have been forgettable. To the point is, I forget there's a score in the film while I'm watching it. That's a harsh criticism, but it's something I feel very true about. This film decides to once again do something different. And I really enjoyed it to the point I noticed it. That the film itself, yes, while at times, orchestral, they threw in, a neat little like sort of synthesizer tone to it as well, making it stand out and making it sort of work with Planet Scar as they're fighting and escaping the ship, to the point when that's really cool and I enjoyed that. Oh, look, I finally noticed a score.
Okay, Kat, what about you? What are your feelings on the music of this movie?
Obviously the Immigrant Song was just awesomely put in there twice. And also it was used in the trailer, so we knew it was coming. So it didn't really feel out of place, even though it could have felt out of place. But we already knew it was going to be there because of the trailers, so that was cool. I'm with Bryan. I really liked the synth. It kind of had the 80s jive going for it. And that, again, this kind of feeling like it's playing off of Guardians, where it's got to feel kind of retro. And it also helps that Stranger Things 2 just came out. So I've had a lot of that kind of music rolling in the back of my head already. And that's probably just an entirely coincidental thing, but it really felt like, damn, this was a good time to be releasing this movie and or this TV show, because we've got kind of similar music going on.
Okay. All right. So we're kind of running close to the end of the clock here. So let's start wrapping things up by discussing some standout moments in the film that we really enjoyed. So, Kat, let's start with you. What are some moments of this movie that you particularly enjoyed?
Oh God. I as hammy as it was, I liked the scene where Thor comes back to Asgard and like Loki as Odin is sitting there watching a play about the contents of Thor: The Dark World. And I say this because the cameos in that scene that I did not realize were famous actors is unbelievable, because that's where Sam Neill shows up. Luke Hemsworth as Thor. Like, I have to go rewatch it to see if I can tell about these guys, because I didn't know that those were the cameos that I was supposed to be looking out for.
There were some chuckles on my theater too, and I was like, "Why are they?" Oh,
which I should have known that was Luke Hemsworth, and I didn't. And now I'm like, damn it! But it makes so much sense that they get a Hemsworth to play a Hemsworth. I really liked that scene. I really liked the big arena fight between Thor and Hulk. It was just really awesome to look at, but it wasn't as awesome to look at as Hulk versus the giant wolf. Because whoever decided that fight was going to happen, like, must not have consulted the animators at all, and the animators were like, a completely CG Hulk versus a completely CG giant wolf in water. Like, that's a nightmare. That
some
nightmare.
animators almost died for us.
Yeah, and it looked incredible. Like, that giant wolf was the most realistic looking piece of CG I think I've seen in the whole goddamn series of franchises. Like, it just looks so good. What was the name of the wolf? Did anybody catch it?
I think that's actually Fenris.
Because there's so many Norse wolves, so I couldn't quite catch it, but I thought it might have been Fenris/Fenrir, but it could have been like Freki. So I wasn't sure. I'll have to Google it.
Yeah, Google it real quick, because I think she says it when she goes into the tomb, but I can't remember what she said.
Yeah, she says it, and I couldn't quite hear it for whatever reason. Anyway, I thought that wolf looked incredible. And Valkyrie on the gun, I think, was just great too. Valkyrie, like, in her ensemble, just shooting away.
Okay. Bryan, what about you? Stand-up moments for you?
It might be either the opening battle fight or the last battle fight with Immigrant Song playing, because as Kat mentioned before, they did a real good job of making it fit and work in the film. So it was, it got you pumping and kind of you were enjoying it. The final fight, despite the fact I didn't really understand why Helena needed an undead army, I also didn't care because I got to see Thor versus an undead army. So I was like, this is what's been missing these last couple of films too. He finally wakes up, he's got his lightning powers, and he just kind of goes to town. It's like, all right, here we go. Time to have some fun.
All right.
And what about you, Dr. Gonzo?
Well, you guys have said pretty much all the moments that I would have cited, so I will instead cite what I believe to be a missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. And this is going to kind of a callback to a running joke that I had when we did our review of the first Thor movie, which is we have a character named Valkyrie who rides through the sky in multiple spacecraft, and at no point did they play any Wagner. I am disappointed that we did not hear Ride of the Valkyries. An opportunity was missed.
Well, see,
they could have done like a synth version of it. On the topic of versions of songs, when Thor is in that chair, just being introduced to all the stuff with the Grandmaster, and they're playing the fucking the Willy Wonka song, Pure Imagination, like a weird version of Pure Imagination. I'm like, yes, this is very weird. Yes, you're right, movie. This is weird. That was like, incredible and so unexpected.
Oh no! You're right.
you half expect Gene Wilder to appear. There's no earthly way of knowing.
Well, that was the feeling that everyone I think had.
We are going.
He didn't need to be there for that. We got that on its own.
Yes, with a completely different song than that one.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it wasn't that song. It was Pure Imagination, but it still felt like that song because it was such a weird scene.
Okay. All right, so let's start wrapping things up here by giving our final ratings on the film. As always, our ratings are from best to worst. See it now, wait for matinee, wait for DVD, wait for cable, don't even bother, and Bryan's rating, fuck this movie. So, Kat, let's start with you. What rating do you give to Thor Ragnarok?
I give it a go see it now. I'm gonna have to go see it again. So if you want to see it together, yeah, let's do it, because I gotta go see this again right away.
Okay.
Which I can't, because Justice League's about to come out.
Bryan, what about you? What's your rating on this film?
So I'm going to up it from my last time. So I think the last time I might have just said these were matinees. I don't quite remember. I could be wrong, but this is probably, hey, go ahead and see this now. Definitely very enjoyable. Lots of little things that to look out for. Like the joke about Thor being turned into a frog, and I was the only one in the theater that laughed. Because like that happened in the comics. Haha, yes, I'm a nerd. So yeah, go ahead, see it now.
All right, and I guess I'll make you unanimous. I'm also going to say see it now. It's definitely an enjoyable film and definitely a lot of fun. You know, like I said, there's a little bit of weirdness in that first 30 minutes, but after that, the movie really kicks into high gear. So yeah, well, that's about all the time that we have for Nerd of the Third Power this week. We shall see you next week. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
And I'm Bryan.
All right, we'll see you next week. Taka, play us out.